You think you are stuck because you lack discipline. You believe it is about motivation. You have been told it is about your habits. But I am here to tell you, you are wrong. It is about identity. It is about the version of you that is still running your life. The person you are right now was built to survive your past. Every fear you carry, every limit you accept, every excuse that feels reasonable was installed by circumstances that no longer exist. And that same person, the one who kept you safe, is now the one thing standing between you and the life you actually want. Napoleon Hill spent 25 years studying more than 500 of the most successful people who ever lived. Steel magnates, inventors, presidents, and buried inside his research is a truth almost nobody talks about. Every single one of them, before they built anything, had to destroy someone first. Not an enemy, not a rival, the old version of themselves. By the end of this, you will know exactly how they did it, why your own mind fights you every time you try, and the precise method Hill taught for forcing the transformation that nothing and no one else will force for you. Let me tell you what the old you actually is, because it is not your enemy. That is the first thing you have to understand. The old you is a bodyguard. Somewhere in your past, life hurt you. Maybe it was failure that people saw. Maybe it was rejection that came when you reached for something. Maybe it was simply growing up in a place where wanting more was treated like arrogance. Whatever it was, your mind did what minds are built to do. It wrote a rule. Do not reach that high again. Do not speak that loudly again. Do not want that much again. And here is the cruel part. The rule worked. It protected you. The pain stopped. And your mind concluded that the rule was the reason you survived. So it kept the rule. It built your personality around the rule. It built your daily routine around the rule. It chose your friends, your words, your goals, all in service of one silent command. Stay safe, stay small, stay the same. Hill saw this pattern in almost everyone he studied who had failed. In his book, The Law of Success, he wrote about the fears that quietly govern most human lives. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of what other people will say. He called these fears the great destroyers of ambition, and he noticed something remarkable about them. They almost never announced themselves as fear. They disguised themselves as personality. The fear of criticism calls itself being realistic. The fear of failure calls itself being careful. The fear of change calls itself being content. And so a person can live an entire life inside a cage and never once feel the bars, because the cage has been renamed who I am. That is why growth feels like betrayal at first. When you start to change, you are not fighting laziness. You are fighting a part of yourself that sincerely believes it is keeping you alive. It will flood you with doubt. It will make the couch feel righteous. It will make your old life feel like home the moment the new one gets hard. That resistance you feel is not evidence that you are weak. It is evidence that the old you knows it is being replaced. Now let me show you what Hill actually found in those 500 lives. Because the pattern is not what most people expect. When Andrew Carnegie commissioned a young Napoleon Hill to study the most successful men in America, Hill expected to find advantages, better educations, richer families, luckier breaks. Instead, he found the opposite. He found men who had been broken by life, sometimes repeatedly, sometimes publicly. Henry Ford failed in business and was dismissed as a man who did not understand his own industry. Thomas Edison was told as a boy that he was too slow to learn. Hill himself, born into poverty in a one-room cabin in the Virginia mountains, was considered the least likely of anyone in his county to amount to anything at all. What separated the ones who rose was not that they avoided the survival self. Everyone builds one. It was that at some point, each of them made a decision that Hill considered the foundation of everything else. He called it a definite chief aim, a single, burning, precisely defined purpose. And here is the part that matters for you. A definite chief aim is not really a goal. It is a replacement identity. The moment Ford decided he would build a motor car for the great multitude, he stopped being a farm mechanic who tinkered. He became, in his own mind, the man who would put America on wheels, years before a single assembly line existed. The identity came first. The evidence came after. Hill wrote that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Most people quote that line and miss what it demands. Believing is not hoping. Believing means your mind has accepted a new definition of who you are, so completely that acting against it feels wrong. The successful men Hill studied did not force themselves to do hard things forever. They forced themselves to become someone, and then the hard things became simply what that person does. Stay with me, because what comes next is the exact method, not the inspiration, the mechanism, the specific practice Hill taught for installing that new identity, even while the old one fights you for control. But first, you need to see the trap clearly, because you are probably standing in it right now. The old you does not keep you prisoner with chains. It keeps you prisoner with comfort. Think about your ordinary day. The same route, the same conversations, the same complaints, worn smooth like stones in a river. There is a strange pleasure in it, is there not? A life that asks nothing of you. Hill had a name for the force behind that pleasure. He called it drifting. The habit of moving through life without definite purpose, carried by circumstances, by other people's expectations, by whatever requires the least of you today. And he made a claim that should unsettle you. He believed the overwhelming majority of people drift through their entire existence. Not because they are stupid, not because they are lazy, but because drifting is painless in the short term, and the price is only collected at the end. Here is how the price gets collected. Every year you stay the same, the world around you does not. Your body changes. Your options narrow. The people who kept growing pull further ahead, not dramatically, just a little, every single day. Comfort feels like standing still, but there is no standing still. There is only growing or shrinking in slow motion. And the old you knows how to make shrinking feel noble. It says, be grateful for what you have. It says, other people have it worse. It says, maybe next year. These are true sentences used for a false purpose. Gratitude was never meant to be a sedative. So look honestly at your comfort, the routines you defend, the dreams you have quietly demoted to hobbies, the person you describe when you say, "That is just how I am." Ask one question about each of them. Is this really me? Or is this just the cage I decorated? Now, the method. Hill's process for outgrowing the old self has 3 moves, and the first is the one he placed at the front of the law of success, because without it, nothing else works. You must define, in writing, exactly who you are becoming. Not improve myself, not do better. The old you eats vague intentions for breakfast. Hill demanded precision. What exactly will you achieve? By when? In exchange for what effort? And beneath those questions, the deeper one. What kind of person achieves that? How does that person spend a Tuesday morning? What does that person refuse to tolerate? What does that person no longer say about themselves? Write it as a single statement, in the present tense, as if it is already true. Hill instructed his students to be so specific that a stranger reading the statement could picture the life it describes. The reason is not magic. The reason is navigation. Your mind is an instrument that moves toward whatever image dominates it. Give it no image, and it defaults to the old one, because the old one is already installed, already detailed, already rehearsed by years of repetition. You are not fighting the old identity with willpower. You are outcompeting it with a clearer picture. And notice what this does to decisions. The person with no definite aim faces 100 choices a day and negotiates every one of them. Should I get up? Should I make the call? Should I say yes to this distraction? Each negotiation is a chance for the old you to win. The person with a definite aim faces the same 100 choices and asks a single question. Does this serve the aim, or does it not? The negotiation disappears. That is why Hill's successful men seem to have superhuman discipline. They did not. They had simply fired the committee. The second move is the one that sounds strange until you understand why it works. Hill taught that you must repeat your new identity to yourself, out loud, every single day, morning and night. He called it auto-suggestion, and he considered it so essential that he built his famous self-confidence formula around it, a statement his students recited daily, committing themselves to their definite aim and to the belief that they would achieve it. Now, the old you is already rolling its eyes, talking to yourself in the mirror, really. But consider what is actually happening inside your head right now, today, without any formula at all. You are already practicing auto-suggestion. Every time you say, "I am terrible with money," every time you say, "I always quit," every time you replay an old humiliation on the drive home, that is repetition. That is rehearsal. That is a daily recitation of the old identity, performed with perfect consistency for years. The old you was not born strong. It was trained strong by you. Hill's method simply takes the machinery that built the cage and points it at the door. When you state the new identity daily, with feeling, with the emotional weight of a person who means it, you are laying down repetitions on the other side of the scale. At first, the words feel false. Hill knew they would. He said, "Belief follows repetition the way a path follows footsteps. No single step makes the path. Every step makes the path." So here is the practice. Exactly. Each morning before you touch your phone, and each night before you sleep, speak your definite aim aloud. Then speak the identity behind it. I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. I am the kind of person who does the hard thing first. Say it even when the day disagrees, especially when the day disagrees. You are not describing the present. You are outvoting the past. The third move is where most people flinch, and it is the one Hill was most insistent about. You must change your environment to match the person you are becoming. Because the old you does not live only in your head. It lives in your surroundings. It lives in the friend who laughs when you mention the new plan. It lives in the evening routine built entirely around escape. It lives in every room arranged for the comfort of a person you are trying to leave behind. Hill devoted an entire law to this. He observed that the successful men he studied surrounded themselves deliberately, almost ruthlessly, with people aligned to their purpose. He called it the mastermind, minds joined in harmony toward a definite end. And he warned, just as clearly, about the opposite force. Stay close to drifting minds, and you will drift. Not because they are bad people, but because identity is contagious. You have felt this. Spend an hour with someone building something, and you leave wanting to build. Spend an hour with someone rehearsing their excuses, and you leave with better excuses. The people around you are constantly voting on who you are. The old you counts those votes. So make it practical. This week, 3 actions. First, remove one thing from your environment that exists purely to serve the old identity. You know what it is. You thought of it just now. Second, add one input. A book, a course, a room, a person that belongs to the new identity. Third, tell one person, someone who will hold you to it, exactly who you are becoming. Not for applause, for witness. The old you thrives in secrecy because a private commitment can be privately abandoned. Spoken aloud to the right person, it becomes a bridge already burning behind you. And when the old life calls, and it will call, sounding warm and reasonable and tired, you will remember what Hill understood about every one of those 500 men. Comfort is what the old you calls the cage, so you will keep feeding it. Before I give you the final piece, sit with one picture, because Hill believed a definite aim needs fuel, and the deepest fuel is not desire. It is refusal. Picture yourself 10 years from now, having changed nothing. Same rules, same cage, same sentence. That is just how I am. Spoken by a voice 10 years more tired. Picture the people who needed the bigger version of you, your family, the ones watching how you live, receiving instead the safest version, forever. That picture is not there to shame you. It is there because the old you only loosens its grip when staying the same finally costs more than changing. Hill saw it in every life he studied. The transformation never began in comfort. It began the day a person looked at who they had been and said, quietly and completely, no more. So here is where this ends and where you begin. Tonight, write the statement. Who you are becoming. Exactly. By when. In exchange for what? Tomorrow morning, before the world gets a vote, say it out loud. Then perform one act, just one, that the new person would do and the old person would avoid. One call, one page, one workout, one honest sentence. Do it again the next day and the day after. Not because each act is large, but because each act is a vote. And identity, in the end, is nothing more than the election you hold every single day. The old you was written by your circumstances. The next you gets written by your decisions. If this found you at the right time, subscribe, because there is a new lesson from Napoleon Hill's philosophy here every Tuesday and Friday, and the next one goes deeper still. Now go make the first decision. The person you were will forgive you. The person you are meant to be is waiting.